Hey gang, in our last two videos we discovered how to properly capitalize all costs incurred as well as record the initial transactions for purchasing planned assets. In this video we're going to mosey on over to how to properly depreciate the assets and the key factors needed in order to do so. But first, facts. So thus far we already know that planned assets are those long-term assets companies keep longer than a year that they expect to help them generate the bag by helping them produce revenue. We also understand that throughout the life of the particular planned assets, as time goes on, we must keep track of a process that allows us to adjust the asset based on wear and tear. That particular process, we call it depreciation. And thus far, we know that depreciation is also an adjusted entry that is recorded on the books at the end of the period. And so two things we already learned from our previous videos. One, every time that you depreciate an asset, an expense is created as well as a contra account to that particular asset that's being depreciated, called accumulated depreciation. Thus, when it's time to record a depreciation on the books, we always debit depreciation expense and credit accumulated depreciation. But to recap on that accumulated depreciation gain, we understand that the accumulated depreciation account stores the depreciation throughout the years, and every time we report that particular plant asset on the balance sheet, of course, it will be adjusted by its accumulated depreciation, giving us the proper book value. Remember, gang, book value is simply just the cost of the asset minus its accumulated depreciation. And so now we're going to discuss the proper ways and methods that are used in order to calculate the correct amount of depreciation. And so before we get into that, let's discuss the key components that make up the depreciation calculation. So there are basically three factors that goes into computing depreciation. The first one is always the cost of the asset. Whatever you pay for the cost plus those other costs incurred that needs to be capitalized must be computed in the calculation. The next two are actually estimates that the company makes upon purchasing the asset, which are actually subject to change throughout the life of the asset. And those two happen to be the estimated useful life and the estimated salvage or residual value. So in terms of the useful life, that is simply just the amount of time that the company expects to own the asset. Thus, the amount of time that the company will expect to depreciate the asset. The estimated salvage value or residual value simply equates to the remaining value that the asset has left after it's fully depreciated at the end of its useful life. So if a company has a truck and it has an estimated salvage value of $10,000, basically they're saying at the end of that period or the life of that particular truck, the value will still be on the books of $10,000. And so we utilize those three factors in various different ways to calculate four different types of depreciation methods. Each one of those depreciation methods will give us a different result for depreciation expense for the year. However, all four of the following methods will also give you the correct depreciable cost of the asset. So what's the depreciable cost of the asset? Basically, the depreciable cost is simply the initial cost of the asset minus its salvage value, basically equated to the amount that we're going to actually depreciate throughout its life. So I already know what you're thinking, right?
Doesn't make a lot of sense, but gotta stand by it.
Well, what are the depreciation methods? I'm going to give you an individual video for each one of the depreciation methods that will discuss the differences and how to properly calculate it. But as of right now, the four depreciation methods are straight line, units of production, double declining, and sum of the year's digits. So if you're anxious about learning how to calculate the four particular methods, make sure that you're subscribing to the channel and have the notification set for when I produce those great videos. As always, gang, I appreciate your time and patience that you share on my page, and I hope to see you soon. Thanks.